everyone, welcome or welcome back. My name is Anya and today I'm going to be sharing with you my 34-week pregnancy update. So as you might imagine, my belly is quite large now, and sitting my 1.5-year-old son, actually he's 20 months now, he's almost 2. In 4 months he'll be 2 years old, is getting quite difficult. Sitting him on my lap is, I'm just running out of lap space, so it's definitely becoming a challenge. And with that is the difficulties that I'm experiencing taking him to church getting increasingly higher. And so I've thought about the last couple of weeks to just completely just stop going to church with him, because it becomes, as I mentioned, really difficult. But I have been so conflicted with the idea of just stopping. I've definitely kept up with taking him to church ever since I first started taking him. The doctor did recommend that we wait up until he got his shots at the 2-month check, but after that point we have been taking him to church every single Sunday thereafter, and I can definitely count with one hand the amount of times that we have not taken him to church. And when I say we, I mean I, because my husband is actually a pastor and he is actually the one, you know, doing the thing. So it's just been getting increasingly more difficult to sit him on top of me, to have him contained beside me, to entertain him, to make sure that he's not causing some type of ruckus in the middle of everything. While I am very attached to the idea of continuing to take him, I am definitely noticing that it's becoming more and more just extremely difficult to do so, and I might be here, you know, in my last few weeks of actually being able to. Other than that though, I feel like he's always done such a great job himself in the church setting that I don't want to, quote unquote, punish him for my inability to be able to care for him because I have a big old belly, and then eventually I will have to be carrying around a newborn. All of these things being taken into consideration and juggling them have caused me to be just a little bit like conflicted, and dare I say even a little bit emotional about the possibility of not being able to take him to church for a few months in just a couple of weeks here. So I'm trying my very best to just stick it through and do as much as I can these last few weeks, because I know that we're going to be in here for a few months after the baby's born. I mentioned last week that getting proper rest was going to be top priority for me, and I've stuck to it. I definitely feel like I've, you know, done my very best to get to bed earlier, maybe not as early as I should, but definitely trying to stick to my guns on making sure that I get to bed earlier and get enough rest. Because of that, I have slacked, quote unquote, on other areas of my life in terms of what I wish I could be doing and accomplishing in the time period that I have. But honestly, I feel like I'm doing the best that I can with what I have right now. And so I'm trying to not be too hard on myself on that, and just realize that this is a season. I have to ride it through, and I'm doing the best that I can. So we move on. With that though comes a bunch of worrying that I am not ready for what's coming. And if you are already a mom, you understand what I'm talking about. What's coming in these first few weeks of delivering a baby is really tough. And sometimes I hear moms say, oh, the second time around is great, you already know what to expect, you know what to do, it's going to be fine, like, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel and it's perfectly fine. Then I hear some other moms say, too, is all of the headaches that you had when you went from 0 to 1 times 2, of course. I'm trying to not get too influenced by external influences. I'm just trying to like take it one day at a time and try to, you know, bite as much as I could possibly chew, and try to not get too overwhelmed with the idea that something could be overwhelming for me. So I'm just trying to make sure that I am as prepared as I possibly could be, but I still feel very worried that I am not as prepared as I should be. So for example, getting all of the things in order in terms of like the baby's clothing, where she's going to sleep, you know, the arrangement here in our house is pretty tight right now. So it's very difficult for us to even imagine how things are going to be shuffled around. And yes, friends, it's 34 weeks into my pregnancy here, and I still don't know where exactly we're going to place the baby in, you know, a room. So I'm trying to think positively about that, and trying to juggle the thoughts and see how we could shuffle things around and make things as efficient as they could be, the space that we have available to us and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, we have what we have. And, you know, as I say that, I think about how we have so much, you know, and I'm not necessarily saying it in terms of the possessions that we have, but I'm saying it in terms of the amount of blessings that we have on us. So we have so much health. We have our 1.5-year-old son Sebastian. We have this baby girl coming that I am sure will be such a blessing to our lives, and we can only pray that we are as much of a blessing to her life as we could possibly be. So, you know, these other things, and you know, these other things, while they may be overwhelming to think about sometimes and get bogged down by, they are so secondary to the real, like, big deal of the situation, which is that we're extremely blessed, folks. We really are. And I don't really think that I should stay in the position of really dwelling on logistics too long to make it count, you know. Like, I think that who cares if the baby's sleeping in our room for longer than 2 months? At the end of the day, you know, what really matters is to have a healthy and happy child, and in our case, healthy and happy children, and we're so blessed. We're so blessed to have them. So a 34-week belly means that I am having continuous trouble picking up stuff from the floor. As a matter of fact, every single time that something drops on the floor, I feel like cursing the sky. I know that sounds very dramatic, but it's true. And you know those infomercials where they sell that claw, you know, like for the elderly, they just grab it and to get like hands down from a cabinet that, you know, it's up high or something like that. I feel like I need one of those contraptions to pick up things from the floor. Every single time something drops, I am like, no. So Monday I had my regular gynecologist appointment, and I know that in my update 2 weeks ago I mentioned that the doctor mentioned this week I would then start every week visits. Well, that's not the case. She told me that I still have to go every 2 weeks for now. The next time I go, then I will be starting every week visit. So when I go in on my 35th week, I guess, yeah, I will start then going every single week thereafter. This time around, everything went well. The only thing that actually I was a little concerned about was last week when I was very, very sick. I mean, I'm sure you noticed my extreme lack of energy in my video last week. I felt like a big deal had happened, and when I got into the doctor's office this week and I mentioned, hey, I called 3 days ago, do you remember? And she was kind of like oblivious to the whole thing. She was like, oh yeah, you were experiencing some nausea? And I'm like, no, I had a terrible cold, I had a fever. The receptionist here, or your assistant or whoever it was that I spoke to, told me that you said I should go speak to my primary care physician. And then she was like, I don't know, in my view, it kind of felt like she was trying to say, oh yeah, that's right, I remember. And I was like, sure, Yeah, of course you do. I kind of feel like, yes, they have a lot of patients. No, they are not going to remember every single little detail, but that's why they have charts. And the fact that she didn't remember on Monday that on Friday I had called with a fever, and I am one of the patients that she has that's so far along in the pregnancy, was a little concerning for me, honestly. And so I gave her all of the details once again. I said I called at this time, and then I called again, and then they told me this, and then they told me that, and the medication. I explained the whole thing, and then she said to me, oh yeah, you know, I just wanted to make sure that you saw somebody on Friday just because it was so close to the weekend, and I didn't want you to like be left without the possibility of actually speaking to your doctor. And you know, she kind of like made me feel like she was trying hard to reassure me that it wasn't that she wasn't on top of things, that it was actually the fact that she really wanted me to get help while I still could before the weekend came around. So I made the decision to actually believe that versus believing that she was completely unprepared when she went into the office to see me, and she totally didn't remember what had happened 3 days ago. So my blood pressure was a little bit better this time around. It was 110/60, which is, you know, closer to where I feel is normal for me. As far as my weight, I am weighing now 152 pounds. If you can remember, that's actually 1.4 pounds more than I was weighing 2 weeks ago. And so I mentioned she expected that I would be gaining about a pound a week. So I'm only about a little bit over a half a pound less than where I should be, but she wasn't concerned at all. She said that was perfectly fine. And she also went in with the Doppler, and the baby's heartbeat was at 140 beats per minute, or 140's range. I was very concerned about the baby last week because of, like I said, the fever. It didn't go above 101, which is definitely like where they don't want you to go above, and she confirmed that. So I'm very, very happy about that, but I was concerned that everything was fine, and so I was very, very happy to hear that little heartbeat when I went in on Monday. So something crazy that happened to me this week also was that I got a leg cramp on Tuesday morning. At 5:30 in the morning, I woke up with this pain on my left calf that was incredible. I'm talking about, like, I was like, like, it was so bad. I mean, if I would have been Santiago, I would have thought I was in labor, honestly. I would have been like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, should I call the cops right now? Should I call the police, the ambulance? I don't know, fire department, somebody. But I wasn't. I actually was just bracing myself for the pain that I was going through with my leg cramping up like crazy. And I kept on asking him to rub it, and he just kept on rubbing the other leg, and I couldn't actually communicate to him that it wasn't the leg that he was rubbing, it was the other one. And it was just a mess. So I just kind of laid there and like gave into the pain until it actually went away. But it was so bad that my leg was actually sore for a few days after that happened. It was like 2-3 days. This happened on Tuesday, and I feel like I was still in pain probably by Thursday, Friday. It went away. But oh my goodness, it was terrible. Leg cramps are no joke. I mean, I felt sore like I had gone to the gym to really work out that muscle. It was bad. It was really bad. And I know that they say that cramping can happen as a result of dehydration. So I've been trying to make sure that I get my water in like you would not believe. Like this week I've gotten on top of it for sure. So in terms of my activity level, I definitely did a lot better this week than I did a week ago. So last week I actually only went out walking once out of the 5 times that I set out for myself to do. I usually do it every single weekday morning for half an hour, and I walk a little bit over a mile each time. This week I walked 3 times out of the 5, and you know, it's been so hot here in New Jersey, specifically the Jersey Shore where I live. I'm talking about in the hundreds. And so when I get up in the morning and when I start walking, which is typically around anywhere between 6:30 and 7, it's already so hot, like above 75 degrees. And I get back to the house like drenched, and I am not even the type of person that actually sweats. So, you know, I've been trying to kind of gauge that and make sure that I'm staying safe, but at the same time I'm trying to make sure that I push through. And this last Friday I went out and I had to stop at like circle number 8. I usually do 10, and I had to stop at 8 because I felt like the baby was just dropping down so low into my pelvis, like you would not believe. I mean, and this is definitely something that I spoke to the doctor about on Monday as well, because it had happened to me on Monday. I said, whenever I go walking, it just feels like she's just going down so low, like so low. And she said that was perfectly fine. She said, you know, pace myself, take your time, but that's a good thing. Like, we're positioning correctly, and it's definitely something that is a plus versus not being really walking around and having a situation where she's not really dropping enough. So something scary that happened this week was that Sebastian actually by mistake kicked me in my belly when I was sitting in the sofa. He was sitting next to me and he just leaned back and started paddling his feet like he was in the pool. And so with his heel, he hit me in my belly on my left hand side. If you could actually like do a quadrant, it was on the top right quadrant of my belly. And I was thankful that it actually happened there, because that's not typically where I feel her move the most. I actually feel her move on the complete opposite side, and I kept on touching that area and it felt pretty soft to the touch, so I imagine that that area is not where she is at all. And then the other side, that's where I feel most of the kicks. That's where I feel like actually like the tight belly, and so I wasn't concerned because of that. But I immediately was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry baby, you know, I'm going to try to make sure that I take care of my belly a lot better. And it's been fine. It's been fine. You know, he usually does try to rub my belly, and I tell him, ¿A dónde está hermanita? And he like rubs it with his little hand, and by the way, that means where's baby sister? And he rubs it with he rubs my belly with his little hand, and he hugs my belly, so he knows that she's in there and he's very excited about it. And I don't think, of course, that he did that knowingly with like bad intentions. It was just, you know, he was excited and he started kicking, and I caught one of those kicks. So I've been definitely been more vigilant of making sure that if he's around and he's playing around, that he's not in a position where he would by mistake hit me in the belly again. And Thursday, my friends, oh my goodness, I definitely overdid it on Thursday for sure. I actually do my own soft scrub for my bathroom, and I made the whole thing. I got it ready and I was showing Santiago. I was so proud of it, right? And then I came to the bathroom and I told him, these are the steps that you need to take. And then I was like, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna show you, right? So I got down on all fours and started scrubbing the bathroom floor, or not the bathroom floor, but the bathroom tub. It was definitely a mistake. Number one, I definitely didn't scrub super hard. It wasn't a situation where I was there like really digging deep. I mean, I am very proud of the little concoction that I put together, because it's natural, it's non-toxic. I definitely feel it's safe for, you know, for me to put it somewhere where Sebastian can reach it and not feel like I'm going to poison him. And it definitely was very effective. So I didn't have to do a bunch of scrubbing. It was literally just coating all of the bathtub with a sponge and this solution that I made. Well, a few hours later, after it was all said and done, I was like feeling it for sure. I said, definitely I overdid it. I shouldn't have done that, regardless of how light the actual scrubbing motion I felt was. I shouldn't have done it at all. This was completely evident to me, and so I just I learned the lesson. And I definitely got a little freaked out about it. I mean, I knew that I had done that to myself and it wasn't necessary and I shouldn't have done it. So let's talk about the baby's development now. Now that I'm 34 weeks, my app says that the baby is measuring in at somewhere around 18 inches, the size of a cabbage, and weighs in the neighborhood of 5 pounds. Oh my goodness. Big enough that otherwise healthy babies born as early as this generally do just fine. But baby, please stay inside for a few more weeks. Thank you. Her lungs, brain, and central nervous system keep rapidly developing, and all but the lungs are reaching their final stage of development in the womb. She is currently busy using your immune system to help build her own. It also says that she is peeing up to a pint a day and preparing that terry meconium for her first poop. That's interesting. And then it talks a little bit about mom. So let's see what it says here and how that compares to what I'm actually doing. So how's mom? Those third trimester symptoms like swollen feet, blurry vision, constipation, and hemorrhoids are probably at a high point right now. Well, let me tell you that swollen feet, none whatsoever. I had that a few weeks back, but right now my feet are as normal as ever. And honestly, I'm so surprised because I am 34 weeks in. By this time, I think by this time last time, I was experiencing a little bit of the swollenness coming around, especially in the evenings. I haven't experienced blurry vision and constipation. Yes, folks, it's definitely a thing sometimes, but nothing too crazy. TMI for sure. Try to get as much rest as possible to deal with some of the symptoms and keep as healthy as possible. And that's it in a nutshell, folks. There's nothing more for this particular update. I'm very excited and a little bit scared, and I feel like that could actually wrap up the whole entire update. Excited, but scared. Not sure what's coming, but very excited about receiving it. So this is 34 weeks in. I cannot believe it. I feel like I still have a good 4 updates left. I also wanted to give you a little bit of an update. I have been trying to put out videos consistently about 3 times per week for the month of July. And this last week, I actually put out 2 videos. This is because I've been trying to cut down on the things that I have to do on a weekly basis. I'm trying to make sure that I listen to my body and rest. I'm trying to put my baby first and be conscious of the things that I am doing that could potentially harm my health or hers. And so I'm cutting back on the amount of output that I am doing in this channel. But I do feel like I'm going to continue to try to at least do 2 videos a week for the rest of July. And then when the baby comes, I am at least going to try to do 1 video a week until I can get things under wraps, and it could go on to being 2 videos a week thereafter. So I just wanted to give you the update on that very quickly and let you know what to expect from me in these next few months. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you have not already. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.